MSMF Radio. Music. One language. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Carol Jones with MSMF Radio. I am super duper delighted because I'm sitting next to the guys from BonFireOrchestra. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Cool. If I can get everybody just to introduce themselves real quick.
Absolutely.
Starting here.
I'm Wilson Harris, and I play electric guitar.
Okay.
I'm Michael Thomas. I'm the singer and guitar player.
I'm Dayton Cooper. I'm on percussion.
Cool.
Seth Parker, and I play bass.
Awesome. Well, right off the bat, I want to talk about your name of the band.
Yes.
How'd y'all come up with that?
I think I'm just not very good at coming up with band names. But no, the BonFireOrchestra. I think it was a combination of things. I think whenever someone picks a band name, you want something that can identify what you're going for, sort of the characteristics of the sound and the content that you're trying to put out. But also because it's 2014, you need something that if people Google it, they won't come up with 19,000 results before they get to you.
Right.
So the BonFireOrchestra, I think, was just an orchestra is, I think, defined as any combination of different instruments, coming together. And that sort of BonFireOrchestra idea was like the backyard, intimate, just gathering. So, you have this incredible congress of sounds. But maybe it's not quite the pit orchestra that maybe people visualize.
Right.
But eventually, maybe.
That
would be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Gosh, I like you.
I like you too. Your radio voice is phenomenal.
Well,
it's so
you.
pleasant.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So tell me about where you guys grew up and how that helps you guys find your sound.
Well, I think really we come from all over the place, and the same is true musically as far as our influences. But Wilson, where are you from originally?
Tate County.
Tate County.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he's from Tate County.
Awesome.
And my bass player's from Chicago. My drummer rather is from Memphis. So I think we brought a lot of different things that maybe it might not have appeared would mesh really well. But then once we got there and we started kind of laying things on top of each other, it became something that none of us, I think, could have envisioned individually.
Cool. So has living and performing in and around Mississippi, has that helped you guys kind of,
Oh yeah, it's certainly been an experience.
Tell me about that.
We've seen every small town and big town for a few hundred miles in every direction. It's fantastic. I feel like every place we play has sort of a personality of its own. If we're doing, a larger city like Houston or Birmingham or New Orleans, or if we're playing the Delta, which we've really come to love, and they've been incredibly accepting of us.
Cool.
There's just stories on all the people's faces and all the buildings and the roads. It's a phenomenal way to make a living, to drive around and play music for people.
I know, that's right. That's so awesome. So you guys are performing a lot, obviously. You just named off at least a handful of cities that you performed in.
Yeah, we do almost 200 shows a year.
Wow. How do you guys stay, sane?
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
we're a little wired, and we try to sleep when we can.
That's so
cool. Well, I think a big part is that we love what we do.
Yeah.
It's a real privilege to be invited in to play for people and to be able to pay for your groceries and stuff.
That's so cool.
That way, it's really neat.
That's practical, but that's so real. So you guys are like very, very successful. But how do you guys define success in terms of your music?
Well, I would say we probably all define that differently. Personally, I want to feel creative and energetic about what I'm doing. I want to always be sort of trying out something new, and I always feel like I'm learning things, especially because I have an incredible band, an incredible set of musicians. So I feel like I'm always learning things. I'm just trying to keep pace with those guys. But I feel like, from a quote-unquote business perspective, you want to be connecting with the most people possible, and you want to, and personally, you just want to feel energetic about that every day. But I'm sure for the other guys, there's some individual fingerprint version of that for each of them.
Anybody else want to jump in and about how you guys define success? Or
Success. Really, it's just staying in the moment.
Yeah.
As much as we play, we have to be able to stay in the moment.
Absolutely. Well, that's
You
You can't see it as the fourth show that week. You got to see it as the show.
Look at this opportunity.
Yeah, and inhabit the moment.
How'd you guys find each other?
Fate.
I love it.
Yeah. And I guess, bums tend to congregate. But, yeah, that's what we are. We're professional bums.
I love
But,
professional bums.
no, I think the drummer and I, Dayton, we met 3-ish years ago now. Just happenstance. I was playing a show. We both played with other bands in the past. I think maybe individually we hadn't really gotten the traction we were looking for. We met, and drummers are hard to find. So we got together and played for a little while, and we spent the first year, 18 months, just kind of getting to know each other and honing the sound. And playing, coffee shops and people's houses and that sort of thing, which was a fantastic experience because I think so many bands get together in a garage and they just, if in doubt, turn it up.
Yeah.
And we were in these situations where if we weren't good, it was crystal clear.
Yeah.
Everyone could hear it. You could see their face 5 feet away. And I think it taught us to really get the craft right. And then the size came later. And as we had some success, we were opening for a couple larger acts, including the Abbott Brothers, who we're big fans of out of Carolina. They're fantastic. And we needed a bigger sound, so we started looking to fill out the rest of the ranks. And we met our bass player, Seth. He was warming himself by a barrel fire in Birmingham, Alabama, under a bridge. And we asked him if he wanted to get in our van, and he said yes.
That's such a cool story. He and I had a moment earlier because he looks just like Opie from Sons of Anarchy. Like
He's never gotten that before.
Dropped a tear. I was like, "Oh, you're back."
He's like that with the personality of like Barney Rubble.
I love it. I love it so much. My goodness.
Yeah. No, anyway, and then we met Wilson. Several years ago, we'd been playing a show, and Wilson was playing with another group, and we were in the same show. We met.
Stole him.
Well, no, that was several years ago, and then we didn't see each other again for like 3 years, and then he came to one of our shows one night and sat in, and it clicked.
I love it.
I've been very lucky in that way that it seems like maybe the stars kind of align sometimes
definitely.
as far as the lineup.
That's so cool. I want to talk about some of your music because this morning I know I told you earlier. I listened to Twice on Sunday. Like I played it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play that again, and it was like 12 times before I knew it. What inspired that song?
Girls seem to be rather fond of that song, which is fantastic. We're very happy about that. Cool. I feel like with our music, and I feel like with any music, maybe some, as a writer, I think everyone has their modus operandi for how, they craft a song or put it together. For me, it's almost always a feeling that I'm trying to describe. So it's not necessarily, as far as the songs in general go, it's not necessarily about a certain situation and a certain person. It's a feeling or a culmination of experience that builds into that. That one was about a particular girl, but in general, I think it's transcended that, and I think that's wonderful because people will come up and tell you what a song meant to them, or people have asked us to play it at their wedding and that kind of thing. So it's sort of become bigger than whatever that original feeling I had, and that's I think as much as I could have hoped for.
That's the thing I liked about it the most, and I love how you explain that because you hear Twice on Sunday. Okay, obviously your mind goes to that obvious place, but then it's like it means the lyrics. It means so much more than just the obvious.
I hope so. Well, I mean, that song in particular is about the sort of sweetness of story, but that struggle that maybe gets glossed over. And I personally think that the struggle is the most important part of every story. It's what makes it worth it.
Amen to that. Anyway. So tell me about your songwriting process.
Usually they come right out. I'll have an idea, I'll sit down, and normally I'll have a line or a melody, but if I have any starting point, I can just start pulling the thread, and then it's all there. But I mean, really, it's the speed of thought most of the time, just trying to get it down. Several years ago, I heard someone say, you write with your head, you rewrite with your heart.
That's pretty.
Then after you've got something down, you can go and kind of maneuver it, and I think especially for us, what I've learned is after I played it in front of people, you can kind of gauge reactions and feelings, and it's difficult sometimes not to accidentally try to craft I don't want to say a pop element, but you want it to be accessible for people, but you still want it to be a signature. Something that's specifically yours. So I feel like after the first few times we play a song, it starts to kind of coalesce into what it really is and takes on an identity.
So do you guys write all together, or is there like a designated person?
Musically, we write all together. I what it's been typically, and I hope that changes going forward into the next record, but what it's been typically is I'll write a song, I'll have a basic concept, and then we will build on to that. But very slowly, even what I do will sort of start to change and bleed into what they've created, and it becomes a thing into itself.
Cool. Now, how do you stay sharp? How do you stay fresh with your songwriting?
I hope I do.
Well, yeah.
It's that's a tough question, and I've wrestled with that, and I suppose every songwriter does. For me, I write what I feel. And I know occasionally, it's very easy when one person's doing all that writing for there to be certain stylistic hallmarks, things that show up over and over again. And I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but you do want to evolve and grow and change and become something different than what you were. So for me, my influences obviously have a lot to do that. If I start listening to me, it's not that I'll come up with something that reminds me of what I've listened to. It just pushes my head to a different place. Or maybe I'll get a spark. I'll go, ooh, that's an interesting beat. And then eventually when we try to play something, it comes nothing like what I was listening to.
Right.
But just getting kind of pushed around, that and experience. Just being on the road, meeting people, seeing things. As long as you're kind of flooding yourself with new concepts, I think some people like to stay in their bubble.
Right.
I'm anti-bubble.
Anti-bubble.
Yeah,
if
I feel comfortable, that makes me very uncomfortable, and I've got to do something else.
Tell me about Mr. Darcy.
Okay, it's an interesting question. It's like you listen to the album.
Well, I'm a fan.
No,
but I have
you're
to prepare.
so prepared. It's intimidating.
Don't be intimidated. Let me sit a little closer.
It's very difficult to talk about your own work in a way that's meaningful. Especially for me, because I think whatever it means to me, I don't want to force that meaning on the listener. I want them to have, so it is very specific to me, but I want them to be able to project who they are, their experience, etc. onto it. Mr. Darcy, the only thing I can say about that is the last album, The Well in the Water, is an exploration of basically two things. It's a juxtaposition of fairy tale expectations versus real world experience. And virtually every song falls into some mode of that. And there are moments when it's kind of playful, but I'm sort of old school. I come from a time when an album was a complete work, like a novel. And there are chapters in the novel. It's all a story moving toward a certain place, and I hope the album does that. So for me, Mr. Darcy, I was once... I was reading a guy's writing about Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen, and he was given a copy from a girl that he was interested in, and in the front cover she wrote, "Within these pages lies the keys to a woman's heart." And he said, unfortunately, through the first chapter, said heart was hopelessly boring. Nobody dies. Nothing explodes. And he just couldn't stick with it.
Right.
But he took the novel and he put it on his bookshelf. So then whenever girls would come over, they'd go, "Oh, you have Pride and Prejudice." And he'd go, yeah, I do. And I think Mr. Darcy is that idea. I haven't played that song in a little while, but there's a line that is effectively... I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm hoping to just kind of appear to know what I'm doing until we figure this out together. You have to paint this big romantic picture, and everything's got to be sort of epic and star-crossed. And in reality, it is something more clumsy than that. But that's where I find the beauty in things that are maybe overdone sometimes. Your average love story, Twice on Sunday, is the same way. It's about the little idiosyncrasies, the things in a person that can drive you mad. Are the things that, I think... Stay with you and teach you how to love them honestly. Instead of just what you want them to be or what you expect them to be. What they really are, if you're able to stick with it. Those are the things that matter long term.
Gosh, I like you. Did I say that already?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Is there a song that you've written that you're most proud of?
I'm a boy, so the new toy is always my favorite. There's a song I think we'll play today. It's called "The Girl I See," and it's kind of the newest complete piece that I'm really proud of. I love Twice on Sunday. There's a song called "Ever After" off that last record that means a lot to me. I don't know. I love them all, and I try to inhabit the little world of that story 4 minutes at a time for every song. But
Wow. That's beautiful. Well, there is a pile of instruments outside of our door here. So I want to talk about what instruments that you guys all play, like the whole shebang.
sure, let someone talk who's not me.
I guess I play guitar mostly, but I play some piano too. Next time we record a record, I'll probably do some piano parts. And so will Dayton. Dayton plays some keyboards.
I love that.
Everyone,
Keys every now and then.
everyone in the band is a multi-instrumentalist. It's something that I'm really proud of.
I love it.
So potentially, I think that keeps us from getting bogged down in what we were talking about before. The way I play rhythm guitar is, I have limitations. I have boundaries for what my skill set can do. But the way Wilson, for instance, plays rhythm guitar is entirely different. The way Seth plays rhythm guitar is entirely different. And I think we can all apply that to all the instruments we play. And I think maybe that helps us to keep it somewhat fresh.
I definitely think that would, because you're not locked into these little blocks that you have to stay in. And I know you play the piano and
percussion as well.
percussion.
Drum set and then hands on. Like, I'm not on set today, but today I'm with the djembe and the cajon.
okay.
Blows a lot of people's mind. They're like, is that a box you're playing?
Yeah, he's hitting a box. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And you play?
Bass primarily.
Cool.
A little guitar. I just bought a slide whistle.
He did.
Hey, that's cool.
We were in the car the other day, and I got a kazoo, and he had a slide whistle, and we were just, I'm so glad no one was there. Yeah.
So did you guys start playing pretty young?
Oh, I think, again, we're all different in that way. I didn't. I was an athlete. I blew out my knee
Really?
in high
What'd you
school.
play?
Basketball, and I was a runner, and I was rather good at those
Yeah,
things.
there you are.
And then after I blew up my knee, I had to find some other way to get out, that creativity and that energy, which I guess in retrospect I'm rather thankful for. With Seth and Dayton, I mean, you guys have been playing over 10 years.
Yeah, I picked it up when I was a
Wilson,
child.
yeah. So
Okay.
all the other
Yeah,
guys,
that's
they're kind of lifelong musicians. I came to the game a little late.
That's so super cool. So with all this traveling and performing that you guys are all doing, how do you guys manage to stay focused? I mean, you guys are all young men. I'm sure you have girlfriends and partners and such. How do you stay focused?
Partners and such. I think. Sorry.
Bedmates. I mean, what?
Yeah, no, well, there you go. Yeah, I think we all have sort of those anchors, but individually, I think they're very different for us. If it's a girl or your family or a hobby, I think the tough thing with doing what we do for a living is allowing it to still be fun when you do it so much.
Yeah.
Because the law of diminishing returns kicks in. The first time you're on stage, it's electric and you can barely contain yourself.
Adrenaline.
But the 2000th time you take a stage, there's a certain amount of comfortability, and you have to find a way to kind of keep pushing yourself up to that level, and after it's not as easy. So for us, taking a little time off and kind of recharging maybe makes it new again every time we step back out. I hope.
Oh, that's good. So you guys, do you just schedule in time to take off where you can refresh and refocus?
Yeah. I try to always make sure we get a little time for that.
That's really good.
And then, like I said, I think we're all very, very different people with what we do at that time. But that is another part of, I think, the uniqueness of us working and together.
Yeah. So tell me about your family and your friends. Are they super supportive of your aspirations?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by supporters. My family, they've always been supportive personally of me since day one. That's who bought
good.
my first drum set, of course. But and they love the band. I mean, my aunt. How much is Roma on Facebook?
A
And
lot.
just every social media.
That's-
Oh, yeah, we have her to thank for,
Really?
the pretty...
That's awesome.
It seems to be widespread knowledge.
I love the video too, by the way. Now that I'm seeing you guys, I'm like, hey,
Hey, it's cute.
you were by the refrigerator.
This is good.
And I was trying to look, I was like, is that a container of Metamucil? So I was like,
Was
why?
it?
I don't know what, I
Metamucil?
have to look again. I was like, what? cookies. I was like, why would that be in their kitchen? But anyway,
'Cause
I
we're
pay
old
attention
people,
to
I
the
don't know.
details. I want to talk about performing live. How
Sure.
does it feel performing live on stage?
Feels great. I mean,
Does it?
like Dayton said, I mean, keeps things fresh and it keeps you sharp, keeps you on your feet. You know, whatever you play, you know, and however you play it so many times, and you get psyched about it so many times that you know it just grows and grows.
Have you guys ever? I know there's always the funny stories about performing. Have you ever forgotten your words or forgotten what you were doing for a second?
Oh,
Like,
sure, me all the time.
How do you come back?
But
to
I just
that?
make up new ones. It's my song. I decide it's going to be different today. Yeah, you know, I think we all have sort of those moments where we blink out for a second. If you've ever driven home and then not been entirely sure which road you took to get there,
Yeah.
sometimes shows are like that. It doesn't mean you're not involved, but you're sort of maybe in a kind of a multi-level sense of engagement.
Right.
I'm not like thinking about necessarily what I want for dinner during the song, but I'm sort of in that world. I'm submersed
That's cool. Do you ever get nervous? Like
all the
jitters?
time. All the time.
Serious
Definitely.
jitters? Yeah. How do you guys deal with jitters?
Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, if I wasn't nervous, I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Right.
That's a big part of the push.
I'm glad you said Pepto-Bismol, not like crack or anything.
Right.
I have no idea what to do with that. We're not exactly that kind of band. Yeah.
Good. So how
Well,
much
yet.
Well,
you can do our behind the music.
Yeah, behind the music. Yeah, what was really going on? So, how much do you guys spend How much time do you guys spend practicing?
Should we tell them the truth? 0.
Staying on the road a lot.
Almost none at all.
kinda-
We play 4 or 5 shows a week, so we
That's kinda
play
practice.
together a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Dayton and I. We've been together so long. I mean, in our sleep, you know, we make the same random choices about kind of stops and little things. It's a little odd, honestly.
It's like a marriage.
Simpatico.
Yeah, it's like a marriage.
But I was gonna say, and I feel like we have that relationship in general. When we really kind of bear down to record this next record, I think we will pull back from the road a little bit, sit down, and kind of take a look at the orchestrations and see kind of what do we want to present, because that's a different ballgame entirely than showing up and playing live. Recording and live, it's worlds apart. So I think we'll take some time and really kind of plot that out a little more. But still, I hope retaining the spontaneity and the energy that makes the live sets.
Right.
So what they are, But I don't know. We probably should practice more.
Well,
I don't mean to insinuate that if you're listening and you're in a band, you shouldn't practice. We've been doing this for a long time. But,
well, I like that. I think don't change a thing. But that
okay.
goes into my next question. Do you prefer performing live, or do you like the studio?
so far, it's live far and away. I've never had a good studio experience.
No.
Especially when you're a poor bum musician and you're hurting for money, you do the best you can with what you have.
Right.
You need to get a recording out so that your fans can listen to it and maybe turn other people onto your music. It is my hope, my great and abiding hope, that the next time we sit down to record a record, we can find a place that we feel comfortable and that we can create, and there are not those constraints, and where you can feel sort of psychologically free, to take your time and think about it and see what feels right. And that's been very difficult to find. But I genuinely believe that our next record will be amazing, because we're going to find a place where we can all personally feel comfortable, like
Right.
here at home.
Right. Absolutely.
But I mean, that's no shame on last record. I think it's a great album. But I feel like you should always be striving to outdo yourself.
Absolutely.
So the next time around, I would love to see how far out of the park we can hit it.
Me too. I want to go back for a second and revisit the performing. Are you performing right now?
Right now?
Like, not this very moment, but like, where can I find you if I wanted to see a bonfire show?
Tonight we're in South Haven. We live and work out of Tupelo, but we're on the road pretty much full time. So we do a lot of the Memphis metro area, the Delta, Jackson, Mississippi, that metro area, and then obviously some other spots, but those are where we try to concentrate. online, we have an event schedule on our Facebook, which is a shameless plug, facebook.com/BonFireOrchestra fans. And if you will find us on there, there's an event schedule that runs out, I think, between 4 and 6 months at a time.
Awesome.
What's the next thing we've got coming up? We're doing the 4th of July for the city of Tupelo, that sort of thing. We got a couple more festival events coming up this year. But
so
yeah,
you do a lot of festivals.
I love that during the spring, playing outside.
Mm-hmm.
I speak for myself. I don't know if the other guys feel
You
this
guys
way,
like playing outside?
but I love it.
Love the
I'm I was a grunge kid. I was in elementary school wearing flannel.
Really?
And
Like
I was
Kurt
a Pearl.
Cobain?
Well, I was a Pearl Jam guy, so more Eddie Vedder. But and I like Kurt and stuff. But so really, secretly in my heart, what I want is some big outside stage, and maybe it's kind of raining, and I can climb this thing. I mean, that's in my heart.
Yeah,
What's really going on?
That's awesome.
But yeah, I love playing outside, and this is festival season, so you get to do that a lot.
I know a lot of festivals are coming up. So let's talk about, I know you said that you haven't quite had a positive or a happy recording session. The ones that you've had, how did you prepare to get the most out of those sessions?
Well, and that's the thing, is going in to record is such an extension of trust, because it's your baby. You know, it's this thing that you've spent so much time crafting and making all that you believe it can be, and then you're handing it to a stranger and saying, please take care of it the way I would, and asking them to even elaborate, to do things that maybe wouldn't have even occurred to you in the production phase. So, I think we went in as prepared as we could be as musicians and performers. And don't get me wrong, I'm very pleased with what we came up with, but there was a prevailing sense of just constraint at every turn, whether it was just what was possible with the technology available, or I think certainly not to assign anything but positive feelings toward everyone who's been involved in our music ever,
of course.
But just a lack of connection with what it is we do.
It's an intimacy.
Yeah, an intimacy. Well, because I think every band is so different, in the stories they're telling, or you want it to be. You don't want to get, we're genre bending as a band. They call us folk rock. What that really means is we play whatever it is we play at a given time, and I'm a storyteller.
Right.
But everything we do, I want to be pushing those boundaries. I don't want it to be, and that's blues, and that's rock, because I think there's enough of that out there. I want to be making something I can't hear on the radio already.
That's right. Speaking of the radio already, are there any musicians that inspire you? Who do you...
Guess?
Any musicians?
The bass player was just in his own world. Any
That's
musicians
okay.
who inspire you? Seth Parker, the bass player?
Yeah, I really like Frank Zappa.
Okay.
And a lot of punk.
A lot of punk? Any bands in particular you want to...
Ramones, Dead Kennedys.
Okay. Fresh stuff.
Tool.
How about you?
Chad Smith on drum with the Chili Peppers. I always loved him. Dave Matthews. That's who I really first started listening to when I started playing. Probably just because I had an awesome drum set.
Yeah.
But then once I started to understand it, Carter Beauford is phenomenal.
Cool,
One of my favorite drummers. Just such an artist when he's not just getting up there and banging away, but he's actually getting up there and telling a story with his drums. You just watch him play and it's unreal. It's unreal. But those are probably my two favorite. Now it's kind of changed. Now I'm Kings of Leon,
I love them.
Lumineers, Avery Brothers.
Hey.
We could do this all day.
Yeah, we could. How about you?
I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, and I like Prince a lot too. I'd say Bob Dylan as a singer songwriter, and Prince as a songwriter and a guitar player, and basically Prince does everything. He can play every instrument to the top of its. It's great. I like different guitar players like Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
He's just a really great guitar player, but he's so different.
Yeah,
His play is so different than what you'd expect.
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah, it seems like it, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys gave me a pretty big, long list. So are these people, currently on your playlist? Like, if I stroll through your phone right now, who's on your playlist?
Well, I think the recurring feature of our band, I mentioned our influences, our background, everything is so different, and I think you can probably tell when you listen to that laundry list of people, from Tool to Prince.
Yeah. That's a big.
That's a pretty big gap. And for me, it was singer-songwriters. When I was a kid, Paul Simon, James Taylor, and I loved, Motown, that sort of thing. So that's where I come from. And then as that evolved forward, guys like Josh Ritter, Damian Rice, Ben Harper, that sort of thing. But on our playlist right now, I'm sure that would vary incredibly. Gosh, I don't even know. On the way up here, I'd be ashamed to tell you the things we listen to. But yeah, I'm a musician. I think all music has something to offer, something to be gleaned, and even if it's not for me per se, I think anybody who has the guts to get in front of a room of people and bare their soul, that's something to be admired.
I'm so glad you said that too, because so many musicians are like snobs. They're like the coffee purists.
Maybe they know more than us. They're better than us, but I have such a grateful take on the whole thing. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
I'm so glad you said that. So you guys are obviously successful. You're doing a great job at what you're doing. Tell me about the end game. Like, what are you striving to achieve? Is it?
We were on the way out of Tupelo today, and on the marquee at the Bancorp South Arena, which is our sort of larger concert venue in Tupelo, where we live and work, the Beach Boys are playing. And it was 50 years of fun. So by my calculations, that makes them 70, 75. And they're still out, I can't imagine doing it that long. I don't know. I feel like music is phenomenal, but I don't ever want to be doing it just because I have to pay the bills or that sort of thing. I'd say instead of in game, the way I try to think about it is like the next 18 months at a time. And I think the next big step for us is getting on a bus and being able to travel. Because I love where we work, but there's something of a ceiling here for what you're able to do, the people you're able to reach. What I'd like to do is be able to travel the Southeast more extensively. Spend some time in those various metro areas and just do what we do now, but on a larger scale. See more people, be able to connect with more people, make fans in other areas. And I think it's a really sort of symbiotic experience. When you're creating something for people, they change you, you change. Hopefully you're able to affect them. So I think in the way I see it, I would like to be able to give us a larger platform to do what we do. I think that'd be really satisfying.
Do you guys feel the same? Agree? Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I love that. So how do you guys stay motivated in the midst of all this traveling and writing?
I mentioned the Red Bull, right?
The Red Bull.
Pepto-Bismol.
Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, those work in Congress sometimes as well. I don't know. I think, again, it's very different for all of us.
There's no daily TED Talks or anything.
No, not exactly. I think we have found a balance, and with any four guys who spend as much time together as we do, it's like it's brothers in a house. You love each other. Anybody else picks on your brother, you're going to be on them. But you very well might toss them off the house or something. So for us, it's about finding that balance between being there for each other, constantly appreciating the various personalities you're surrounded by, but giving each other the space that you need to kind of grow and just have the ability to breathe. And finding that balance is, I think, what helps us to stay sharp, as you put it earlier. Yeah,
and I love that you said growth. Do you feel like when you look at your products that you have out now and some of your earlier pieces,
absolutely,
do you feel like you've shown growth?
When I was in kindergarten, they had us put our hands in paint and then make your handprints on a piece of paper, and they'd send it home to your parents. And I found those one day when I was in middle school, and I was pretty amazed by that. It gives you sort of a childish sense of things move on. When I look back at the work that we did a couple years ago, I'm still proud of it, but I feel that we've grown. I feel so much has happened. We've been molded by our experience and the things we've chosen to do, and the people in our lives. And I think you can see that. Hopefully everything we do is this mosaic of experience and the things that we've been through.
Awesome. I have one final question for you all. Why do you want to be a featured artist on MF Radio?
Who wouldn't?
Amen.
Yeah, I know. We were very excited to come out. My lead guitar player, Wilson, I think knew you guys from some work in the past, and he speaks incredibly highly of the entire situation
Yeah.
here. And I can
Mr.
say
Peter Whittem over
you guys
here.
have been
Yeah.
so receptive and lovely to us since we've been here. Thank you so much.
Thank
I know
you.
we can kind of be in the way in these
No,
narrow
not at
corridors, so
all.
thank you for being so patient
Not
with
at
us.
all. You guys have been wonderful. Well, we're so glad that you came out, and I know you guys are going to play for us. So we're super excited. We're going to have a couple performances by BonFireOrchestra, and first they're going to perform "Girl I See."
She's looking for something that she can't find. Getting into her clothes, going out of her mind. But the answers never seem to be at the bottom of the first nor the sixth milk ultra bottle. Somewhere out there, somebody must have robbed her. Onto everyone's bed is some kind of monster. But the truth is she's not missing a thing. It's just the fun house girls distorting the scene, so she can't see the girl I see. The girl I see. Girl I see. There's a darkness in her voice like I've never heard. The sun going down on the bravest bird. The woods at night are full of terrible things. Though a song grows quiet, she still sings. She still sings to me. Why can't she see the girl I see? The girl I see. The girl I see. And I want my daughter to be just like her. Addicted to the truth, quick to call out a liar. She's counting the cost and never once flinching, making me a better narrator to tell our story. That's the girl I see. The girl I see. The girl I see. That's the girl I see. Oh, oh no. Girl that's the girl I see.
Wow, that is perfection. That is so awesome. So pretty. And also, you guys have prepared for us bombs.
Yes.
All right, guys, take a listen. Bombs.
Will you let me go? Everybody knows that just goes to show that you never know what's coming round when it goes down and you hear the sound of the bombs dropping, the shells falling on the shelter. You got me, but I couldn't find the words to tell you I surrender. Got a megaphone, but it's not to know the batteries are gone. And it's just as well, you know me, but you fail to see, might as well be the bombs dropping. The shells falling on the shelter, you got me. But I couldn't find the words to tell you I surrender. Oh, I surrender. Oh no. But you see, it's hard to be the better man when the better man is the one you leave, give you what you need and then some. Maybe doing what I can to understand and bring this war to peace, to get us out from under the bombs dropping, the shells falling on the shelter. You got me. But I couldn't find the words to tell you I surrender. Oh, I surrender.
And you guys are also going to play one of my favorites, Twice on Sunday.
Absolutely. In F, gentlemen.
Baby, I'm trying to hold on, trying so hard not to let go. But baby, you don't make it easy to love you like I do, like it's the 1950s. Girl, we met in the dead of winter, both precautious, and I remember learning how to laugh again. But till now I never did tell just what you meant to me, breaking me down just to rebuild me, and I would take the good and the bad all over again every day. And twice on Sunday. Well, some days we do argue over this and that, but if only we knew how good we've got it, because I've seen how it looks on the other side, and we're damn lucky. Love again, but till now I never did tell you just what you meant to me, breaking me down just to rebuild me, and I would take the good and the bad all over again. Every day, and twice on Sunday. And what you meant to me, breaking me down just to rebuild me, and I would take the good and the bad all over again every day. And twice on Sunday.
Wow, guys, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence. That was so gorgeous. I mean, that song, it just, I could almost cry right now, so I'm going to try and hold it together.
Don't cry.
But thanks so much for coming in, guys. We've enjoyed getting to know you and hearing your stories. Thank you to our fans for tuning in. MSMF Radio. Love Mississippi, love music. It's just that simple. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. This is Carol Jones, and let's do this again soon. MSMF Radio. Music. One language.